Welcome to video number 4. We're going to talk about on-page optimization basics. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about the fundamentals and the concepts. And then of course, in video number 5, once you have learned this, we will begin to implement everything that I teach you. So once you have understand LSI and you've gotten your keywords, it's time to understand how on-page optimization works. Let's discuss your domain name. Should you use brand names or keyword names? There's a really big debate around this, and sometimes keyword names work and sometimes brand names work. Now, this is what we found, however, and you kind of want to look at it at a long-term view, because if you do something now that might work, and if you do something that is essentially kind of on that gray line of gaming the system, then even though it works now, 3 years later, Google will come with a Google slap and it'll slap you off the face of the top 10. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to stick with something that is consistent, something that's long-term, and that will actually work. Now, obviously, we don't know the future, but we can look at the past and in the last decade and see what has come and gone. Now, Google is actually moving away from domains that are gaming the system. They absolutely love brand names. They absolutely love high authority sites. Now, here's what I mean by a brand name. Keyword names or keyword stuffed domains are not really good. And what that means is, let's say, for example, we want to stick with the theme roof repair. So we can say roof repair citystate.com. And you'll actually see a lot of websites that are that particular domain name. So that's what we call keyword stuff domains. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but you'll see in just a minute what will happen. Brand names are obviously some sort of brand name that either has something to do with a keyword or it does not have to. So let's say, for example, Coca-Cola. There's no dictionary word for Coca-Cola except for that we know Coca-Cola produces Coke as in soda, and we know in the dictionary that's a brand name. So Google tends to like those, and I'll show you in a minute why. So let's say, for example, www.roofrepaircitystate.com. You're going to see a lot of that. But here's the complications. If you create a category such as, for example, roof, and then you create a page that is roof repair, then if you look at it, you can see that there is a lot of repetitive keywords in here. And Google does not really like to see repetitive keywords, because to them, that is like keyword stuffing and keyword spamming. And maybe that's something that you could get away with a decade ago, but not necessarily nowadays. Now, let's take an example of a brand name. So let's say, for example, the brand name of this roof repair company is called maybe the Happy Shingle or something, or the Red Shingle or something. If you think about that, and it doesn't have the word roof in it or repair, then it's not keyword spamming. So if it says theredshingle.com/roof/repair, now that is nice because it's not repeating the keyword over and over. So if in the future Google decides to change, yes, it does work now, and I will say it still works now. But if Google decides to change and say that any type of keyword stuffing in the domain itself can harm you, then you're kind of at a loss. So that's just something to keep in mind at that point. Now I want to talk about URL structures. Within WordPress itself, you have something called permalinks. And this gives you the option to basically make your URLs more search engine friendly or even human friendly. And what I would do is I would choose the post name option. And I'll show you what that looks like and how to go about doing that in video number 5. But for now, I just want to tell you right off the bat, you don't want your domain to look like this: www.yourdomain.com / something like 1232/3323, or even $123 = 123. You definitely don't want your domain to look like that, and it looks like that by default. So within WordPress, you want to set the post name option, and by doing that, this is what's going to happen. It's going to say yourdomain.com /category /keyword-title. So I will show you all of that in the next video, but I want to make sure that you understand these basics. So domain, try to stick with a brand name, and then choose the post name option within WordPress. So what are things that stay consistent? And I know this is one of the questions that a lot of people ask, and this is something that is a good question, because what does and what has stayed consistent? Well, most of the above has stayed the same, except for the brand name / keyword domain name kind of thing. But it's inevitable, and if you think about it, if you're branding your company and you're building an actual company with a brand that has an identity, then as Google looks at your brand name and looks at the content you put out, it begins to put a name to a face. So as you can see, the most of the above has stayed the same. Now, what are things that have changed that you need to be aware of? Like we said earlier, brand names versus keyword stuff domains are changing. So even though keyword stuff domains do work nowadays, and you could do it if you wanted to, but just keep in mind, those are things that are changing. So really what it comes down to, if you really think about it, try to avoid gaming the system. If you game the system and you kind of pull away from being human friendly, then that's when things can actually begin to hurt you. So just keep in mind, as I stated earlier in the mindset section, as long as you make things human friendly and you strive to engage with your visitors and get them to engage back, that's where you will begin to rank better. So bottom line, if you have to ask, what am I going to help my visitors or not? What am I doing? Am I doing something that is helping them? Great, keep doing it. Or am I doing something that is actually annoying them or hurting them? Don't do it. So that's kind of a question that you can look into. So with that said, let's move on to video number 5. And I'm going to talk about WordPress on-page optimization. And we're going to jump on to a real live WordPress site. So I'm going to assume that you know how to install WordPress and you have a WordPress site. So assuming that that is the base condition, I'm going to start from scratch where we have just installed a brand new WordPress install. And I'll walk you through step by step everything that we talked about in this particular video.